right? Now, later, one of her aides or somebody out of the congressional staff came forward and said, oh, well, it's the Commerce Clause that gives us this power.
Oh, the ICC?
No, what they call Interstate Commerce Clause, the power of Congress to regulate commerce among the several states. Now, that's fascinating because this isn't so much regulation of commerce as compulsion to commerce, right? They're telling people that they have to buy private life insurance. Now, if you just stop for a moment...
Is it life insurance or health insurance?
Health insurance.
Okay.
Excuse me, health insurance. Death insurance. I shouldn't have said life insurance. Death insurance, the way this thing is working out, right? Because you're going to be denied the care. You have to buy this private health insurance.
And you can only buy their translation of care.
Well, that's right. That's right. You can only buy from certain insurance companies. You can only buy what they consider to be appropriate for you. But what's interesting is if you put all the founding fathers together in a room with Nancy Pelosi, and they asked her this question, what is the basis under the Commerce Clause, and under the Constitution, she's the Commerce Clause. The question immediately comes to mind is, well, how is the government authorized to compel anyone to engage in commerce? How can they tell me what I have to buy? If they can tell me that I have to buy health insurance, they can tell me how many boxes of Wheaties I have to buy, or how many boxes of Cheerios I have to buy. And if they can tell me how many boxes of those I have to buy, probably they can tell me how many I can consume per week. And if you spin this out,
it never ends.
Mean that under that one little provision of the Constitution, which is essentially a line and a half long of the whole Constitution, one little clause of the Constitution, they can control, or they claim to control, every aspect of your life. Now, it's an absurdity on its face, but this is the claim they're making in Washington. They have the power to control every aspect of your life because every aspect of your living life involves some level of consumption. Right?
Apparently.
You have to eat to live, you sleep somewhere, you have clothes, etc., etc., and they apparently claim the authority to control every one of those decisions.
Apparently it involves CO2 now, too, which has been the nutrient for plants. I mean, now natural, organic food nutrients are considered pollutants.
Well, that's right. And the EPA declared that carbon dioxide was a dangerous pollutant, which means that every human being on the planet is emitting a dangerous pollutant.
Of course. I just did several shows on this. It's so shocking.
So I guess we're all subject to regulation as, by the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, I guess you wouldn't call that commerce because we're not involved in buying or selling when we breathe, but being a dangerous pollutant, we're not subject to regulation by the Environmental Protection Agency.
That means all your houses, all your appliances, everything you do, anything you buy.
Well, you.
Everywhere you go.
You are a point source of this, aren't you? You're breathing in oxygen and you're releasing carbon dioxide. You are a point source polluter. You personally, as a thing, are subject to regulation. Forget your washer and your dryer. You personally are subject to total regulation by the Environmental Protection Agency because you are a point source of pollution of this deadly gas, carbon dioxide.
Well, I don't know that they've ever said we are a point source.
Well, they've said carbon dioxide is. All right, and if carbon dioxide emitted by a coal-fired plant is pollution, carbon dioxide emitted by you is pollution. The carbon dioxide does not change its nature as carbon dioxide depending on who the emitter is or what the emitter is. This is what I'm talking about. We're talking about principles here. The claim has now been made that you can be declared to be a polluter and therefore subject to control by the Environmental Protection Agency. You, because you're alive.
It's frightening.
And that's the only reason you're emitting carbon dioxide, correct?
Yes.
I guess when you die, you decay, so there's a certain amount of carbon dioxide emitted there. But generally speaking, you're emitting carbon dioxide as a consequence of your being alive. And therefore, their claim is that they can regulate you as a polluter because you're alive. Now, I don't care which one of the founding fathers you pick. From Alexander Hamilton, who's usually set up as the example of the one who was the most interested in the central government. He wanted the more powerful government in Washington. All the way down to someone on the other extreme, such as Patrick Henry, who was very, very worried about a central government. He wanted powerful state governments and a very weak central government. I don't care which one of those you pick. Can you possibly imagine, can any person possibly imagine that any one of those founding fathers would accept the concept that this government that they created has the power to declare you subject to regulation simply because you're alive?
It's frightening. It is tyranny.
It's an absurdity. It doesn't rise to the level of being frightening. This thing is an absurdity.
What do people do? What is there to do for the common person who gets it? What can be done? There are tyrants in Washington, out of control.
Absolutely, out of control.
It's not about the name of the person. It's totally over the top.
It apparently doesn't make any difference which individual gets into a particular office over there, because you get the same type of person, same type of individual. So this isn't, Nancy Pelosi as opposed to Jane Smith.
Right. That's why I was saying it doesn't
make
really
any
matter.
difference. Okay. The political parties are totally corrupt. The media, big media, are totally corrupt. The election machinery is totally corrupt. It's run by special interests who apparently are capable of putting in whatever howdy-doodies and Pinocchios they want to have in those offices. That is not yet the case in all of the states. It may be in some. Massachusetts, New York, California, you can name some of those states which are pretty much lost to common sense. But probably there's still a majority. Probably you still have 35 states, 35 states, where it could be possible for the people to regain or assert control through their state legislatures. And
how would that manifest
some kind of legislation that would tend to ameliorate this situation.
How would that manifest itself, Edwin?
Well, in terms of what? In terms of the types of legislation?
Yes.
Well, let's look at the major problem we're facing right now is the collapse of the financial system. And this can have obviously very wide-ranging effects because they're talking about the possibility, if you have total economic collapse in the country, of imposing martial law and God knows what else, all right? See these scenarios that come out. So obviously that's, in a sense, that's job one. If we can't prevent the collapse of the economic system, then we're going to fall into all sorts of other difficulties which may not be subject to remediation. So we have to look at that. Well, that all focuses on the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is the cause of all of this.
Is it the Federal Reserve or central banking?
Well, central banking, it's our form of central banking is the Federal Reserve.
Right.
Fractional reserve central banking manifested in this particular one that we have. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have this national problem. There might be a problem with other countries internationally, because many other countries have central banks, but we wouldn't have this problem. So we have to get rid of the Federal Reserve, but you can't do that by snapping your fingers, waving a wand, and sending it away, because the entire market runs on the basis of the currency system that's operated out of the Federal Reserve. So we have to give the market some kind of alternative currency so that it can develop a price structure based on sound money, and we can essentially phase the Federal Reserve out because people will choose to use the alternative currency as opposed to the Federal Reserve currency. Well, that's not going to be done by Congress, by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly not going to be done with the banks. It has to be done at the state level, and it is possible to draft. I drafted it. Other people can and have drafted statutes that would introduce a sound constitutional alternative currency within a state, and then other states would pick up on that process, and slowly but surely, I don't think slowly, actually quickly, it would spread across the country like oil on water, because the good money will drive the bad money out of the system. That's the short answer to it.
So you have a statute all ready to go with sound money?
Oh, yes. People want to look at the one I did for New Hampshire.
Yeah, that'd be great. Where do we find it?
It's Gold Money Bill, www.goldmoneybill, one word, goldmoneybill.org. That was done several years ago, and then it was picked up in Indiana, I think Missouri, Montana had a bill. So there are a number of state legislatures that have been picking up on this.
I love it.
Have not yet gotten out of committee, but they're starting to introduce them.
So what's the essence of it?
Well, the essence of it is the state adopts, in the New Hampshire version, we had them adopting gold. More modern, more up-to-date version now would have them adopting both gold and silver. And the state begins using this alternative currency with